Well, let's go to Denmark now and speak to Anders Vistisen, who is a Danish politician and member of the European Parliament for the Danish People's Party. Mr. Vistisen, welcome. What is your reaction to what we're hearing from Donald Trump?
Frankly, the American the posturing and the president's statements are becoming more and more detached from reality. And the fact is that there is no Russian or Chinese vessels to any large extent around the island of Greenland. The fact is that there is already a military cooperation agreement between Greenland, Denmark and the United States, and that the United States itself, since the end of the Cold War, has closed down more than 30 military bases and installations on Greenland. And the fact of the matter is also that Greenland have been Danish for more than 800 years, been part of the Kingdom of Denmark for all that duration of time, and that the United States itself, on several occasions, have acknowledged the Danish territory as the Greenlandic territory as Danish.
How worried are you, though, when you hear from the White House that President Trump is considering all options regarding Greenland, including the use of military force?
I think it's a ridiculous statement to see one NATO ally. We're talking about two founding members of NATO, Denmark and the US, and we're talking about the US wanting to use military against a NATO ally off the coast of a third NATO ally, Canada. So it is just showing how almost deranged this comment is.
Are you taking it seriously, though, even though you describe this as a deranged comment?
No, I don't expect that there will be a U.S. military intervention in Greenland. I see this as a president who is under enormous pressure internally for failure of delivering his promises. He has a midterm election coming up, and he wants to deflect from the lack of results on his domestic agenda by having a lot of international noise. It's very inconvenient for a small country like Denmark, even more inconvenient for the self-governing territory of Greenland, where the Prime Minister of Greenland very clearly have stated that they are worried about this, of course. But no, I don't expect U.S. troops to be on the ground in Greenland with hostile intent under the order of the President of the United States.
What the Danish Prime Minister, Mette Frederiksen, has said about the future of NATO, if there were to be an attack on Denmark from a fellow NATO ally, that would mean the end of everything in NATO. Do you agree with that?
It's very hard to have a defensive alliance if we attack each other internally. And what would the NATO allies do? You know, UK, Canada and the other NATO members will have to come to Denmark's aid if we are under attack under Article 4. So yes, it will mean the end of NATO. It doesn't make sense in any other way. But of course, the precondition for this pressure is that the Danish government response to Trump's comments on Greenland have been very vague up to this point. They have been way too diplomatic and they have not been firm in the rejection. And also the Greenlandic independence movement have flirted too much with forces in the US, in China, and that have created a sort of an atmosphere where it is possible for people within the US administration to create this pressure on the Kingdom of Denmark and on Greenland.
But we've been hearing these sorts of noises about the US's ambitions to have Greenland for some time now. If the United States is absolutely determined to take hold of Greenland, what can realistically Denmark do about it?
If we're talking about a military invasion, Denmark can realistically not do anything about it, but that would be the collapse of the order since the Second World War, that one NATO ally attack another one. And that is why we have to be very firm in our resolve to the US and say, enough is enough. We don't give in. We don't want to be bullied into any action regarding Greenland. We are not going to negotiate with you on mining rights, on increased military presence. Greenland and Denmark will figure out our internal domestic affairs on our own, and it's not for the US to interfere in that. And that has to be the very clear statement now coming from the Prime Minister. And then, of course, it's an American decision whether they want to attack the Kingdom of Denmark in Greenland. But I would put my money and my analysis where it is not a realistic scenario. And we have to stand firm now and not just continue to give in to this bullying behavior from a president under internal pressure and a very weak domestic agenda.
Anders Vistisen, Danish politician and member of the European Parliament for the Danish People's Party. Thank you.